Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You can see we have a cab sitting here. All right, so this cab is scrap. I picked this up from a guy. He was just looking to get rid of it. As you can see, it's got a little bit of damage here. Anyway, so we are not using any part of the sheet metal on this. Might be saving the cowl, put it in storage in case we need one for something. But the purpose of the video today is I'm going to show you how to get a dash out of one of these. And I've already started on it, and I only started on it early because I wanted to show you some stuff. It's a little hard to show you while I do it. But after we get started here, I'm going to show you the process of me taking this out. And there's going to be two different options for you once you start on this. This is the harder option for me because I don't have a key for the steering column, so I won't be able to take the column out the way I would like to. However, I may try to pull the column out separately. It just makes the whole dash that much lighter. However, if you leave the column in, it kind of gives you like a handle to hold on to. However, I'm going to go ahead and show you what we've got disconnected already and show you how to go about doing this. Now, I've gotten pretty proficient at removing these dashes. It takes me, if I'm in a hurry, 25 to 30 minutes to get a whole dash completely out without breaking anything. Now, this is going to be a little bit more involved through this process because we're trying to show you what to take apart and what you need to do first. A lot of guys try to separate the HVAC box from the actual plastic dash. A lot of guys try to separate the wiring from the dash. And in all reality, you're just making more work for yourself. So I'm going to show you how to pull a dash out of one of these trucks without breaking anything and try to get it out in one piece, and we'll show you how to do that. So we'll start over here with this nice rust belt, rust-free truck here. Now, the e-brake is laying on its side here. There is 3 13 millimeter nuts that hold this on, and those are these studs right here. You can see the stud up here, and then another one up top. All right, so you can leave the e-brake in the truck. You just have to take it off of this aluminum brace here and lay it down. We also have the lower valence removed here, and if you were going to be removing the column, which I'm going to try to do, and hopefully we can get it off of here, but there's 4 screws that hold this column on. You have one here, one up here, and one in the corner way back here. All right, so we can go ahead and try to get this column out. But what you want to do is there's a bolt back here. Remove this bolt. It is a 13 millimeter socket. And what that'll do is that'll take the steering column off of the steering shaft. And then after that, if you're going to be removing the column, which we will probably end up, I'm going to try to do here, you would unplug every connection on here. And this is a 7 millimeter bolt that holds this large plug-in. Now this is for your ignition switch here. The next thing you would have to do is take your steering column tilt lever, if equipped, off so that you can spread the column cover apart. There's 2 Torx bits in here that holds the multifunction switch in, which is this guy here. All right, so you'll want to take that off of there and unplug it completely. And if you have an automatic, then you would also unplug the overdrive shifter there also. And then you would also have to undo the cable on the column. But you would do that after you dropped it down, and we won't be doing that because this truck was obviously a stick. It's got the 3rd pedal there. So we won't have to do that here. Now, this truck would also have the master cylinder, which is here. Okay, so it is already gone. It is unplugged, so we don't have to unplug that. Next order of business here is going to be, you have these large bolts here, so just keep those in mind. Those will be holding this whole dash up. Now, we'll go ahead over to the other side. Now, as you can see, there's a bunch of wires here. All right, so what we have here is you have your harness that comes with the dash. There is a 8 millimeter bolt down here at the bottom that it is grounded to the cab. remove that 8mm bolt, remove the wires. If you are gas, you would unplug your inertia switch. Diesel does not have the inertia switch. And then you would unplug anything on this gathering of wires. So this would be for the cab lights, and then since this is an F-150 and it's a 96, it has this big black plug here, and then also you have the gray plug for your door, and then you also have the brown plug for the HVAC system. Now you also have this plug here, if we can get it to show its face, this plug. All right, this plug screws everybody up. It is the door ajar light, rather the switch, and that is that guy right here. All right, so you have to unscrew that out of the cab and unplug it. It is a 15mm socket. So remove that out of the cab, unplug it, and fish the wire back through. You also have a black plug here. This kind of hangs out in here. It is also, I do believe, part of the dash. I haven't followed it up yet, but I always unplug everything in this corner here. It just makes life a lot easier. Your next step here, you have a 8mm bolt here. You have an 8mm here, and you have an 8mm here. All right, so you undo those, and then you have a vacuum bank right here. All right, so with that vacuum bank, you can pull it actually down and it will unplug itself. Sometimes it's easier than others. So this guy wants to stay. There we go. Unplugs just like so. Next order of business, these bolts that you can see. Now there's opposing bolts on the other side that you can't see here, but you can see them through the windshield. You can see it right there. The only ones that you need to worry about are the ones you can see from the inside. There's 4 across the top. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 far over there. All right. You want to unplug or undo those. The next thing you need to do is you have to pop the antenna bracket off. So we'll go ahead, pop this off. I'm going to show you a lot of this stuff. I'm just going over it firsthand with you. Pop this off, take this off, unplug the antenna. Because when you pull this dash out, the antenna wire is ran in with the dash wiring. You'll be able to pull this away and pull it out. Now we're going to go ahead and start with trying to get the column out. So we're going to go ahead and start trying to do that. If I can't get the column out, then I'm just going to have to show you how to pull this dash with it on there. All right, we'll start with taking the tilt column off. There is a flat spot on it, so we can just use a little crescent wrench. And if you are worried about scratching this up, which I don't blame you, you can put a rag around it, but they always put Loctite on these, so they suck to get off. Once you get it loose enough, you can get it by hand. You can see there's a little bit of a flat spot on it there. You can see I've marked it up, took the paint off. And you can see that there's Loctite on there. I don't know how much Loctite they put on it, or if it's a dissimilar metal, because this is steel. And pretty sure that's steel too, but you can always get this corrosion on there, which is strange. Next thing, you're going to want to take your screws out of your column cover here. They are Phillips. You can see that comes out. We've got the one in the back corner. So that guy doesn't want to come out too easily, and this should let me get into where I need to get. Our next step is we're going to be removing the turn signal stalk here. And those are a T20. So you're asking me, I'm sure, why are we taking the column apart? Well, it's because we need to get these plugs off. All right. Now, you can take this lower column cover off completely, but I didn't take that back screw out. Just trying to save some time with this video. But there's two plugs on here. You can see them there. There's one on the bottom and one on the top. Go ahead, unplug those. If you have an automatic, you would also have to unplug the shifter here as well. It is a separate connector, 3 pins, 3 wires. Comes apart very, very easily. So unplug this, and then you can start unplugging your connections down here. So we've got that unplugged there, and now the only thing left to do is going to be unplug the ignition switch and then these other plugs down here and disconnect them from the column completely. Okay, you can see that plug comes out. All right. If you have an automatic, you also have a shift interlock, which is this plug here. And then since we don't have an automatic, it's just clipped up into the actual column. Now, I may have to pull the column out to get to that one. It's kind of buried up there. And if you are working on your truck and it does have the battery hooked up, I suggest unhooking the battery, because this yellow plug here is your airbag. So these should have shorting connections in them, but that doesn't mean it won't blow whenever you unplug it anyway. I had to move that plug out of my way so I can see what I'm doing here, so I can get this yellow one unclipped from the column. Now, this is not something that you have to do. I'm only doing that so that you can kind of see what I'm doing here, and then make it a little bit easier to unplug this. All right, so there is shorting connectors in there. Those are supposed to short the terminals out so the airbag does not go off. All right, so all of your electrical connections are unplugged except for the shift interlock that we have to unplug up top here. I'm going to get a little better look and see what's holding it. Yeah, it's just clipped into a holder up there. Just like so. All right, so now the column is completely disconnected electronic wise. We can go ahead, and there's 4 nuts that hold this column to the dash. And like I previously said, we took this bolt out for the column. Now these are 13 millimeter as well. One other thing, if you have an automatic, you will have an indicator assembly coming from your speedometer. It will come down and loop around to the other side. What you want to do is you want to put the truck in first or any gear, anywhere you can get, you can unhook the cable from the shifter cable, and you can either take the bracket off of the column or spin the little black wheel. I'll throw a picture up to show you what I'm talking about, and then just get that cable out of the columns before you drop it out. So when you get down to your last one here, make sure you hold up on the column. And you can see this column starts to drop out. We just got to get the wiring out of the column cover, and there's the column out. Now you can go ahead and put all of your stuff back together. We're just going to set these off to the side for now, and then put these nuts back on these studs. I always suggest removing the column because at this point it gives you a lot better access to see what you are doing in here, because you have to unplug the brake on-off switch, which is back here behind the column. If you've left the e-brake down, you've already unplugged the e-brake notification light for the dash. Sorry about that, my light died on me. So we have the brake on-off switch up here. So we'll go ahead and unplug that. There is a catch on it, so it can be kind of a pain to get off sometimes, and we'll work at that in a second. However, you have two plugs down here. See if we can see them. Yeah. You have two plugs down here. You can see the push pins for them. There's a black one and a gray one. You'll want to unplug both of these plugs. So these run from the dash to the cab harness. All right. So you got to make sure that you unplug those. So you can see I had unclipped that from the aluminum brace, and we're going to unclip this bottom one too. Now you can see a different variety of plugs here, depending on which options your truck has. So this one has the round plug, which is a little bit easier to unplug than the gray one. Now, your gray one has these little tabs on each side. I generally like to take the pry tool and just get underneath them and give them a little bit of a twist. You don't want to snap them off, but they will kind of move out of the way a little bit. And just like that, that one unplugs. This guy here, down here, this one specifically has just a regular release on it, and you can unplug it. Now, these plugs will stay in with the truck, and these two plugs will come out with the dash. Now we can go ahead and pop the brake on-off switch off. And there's a little release on there, so you want to make sure that you pull it out instead of breaking it off. And then you got to look out for any extra wiring that somebody has done. Make sure you disconnect that as well. Okay, so this side of the truck is complete. All right, so we have the column completely out. We have everything unplugged. If you have a standard, make sure you unplug your clutch pedal, your neutral safety switch. We have the column disconnected here. You also want to make sure you unplug your brake. And then if you have an automatic, you will have a transmission shifter cable that will come down with the column. You can pop it off the back of the column using a pry tool of some sort, and then there's just a push pin holding it to the column. You can unhook it once you drop the column out.
Something I forgot to add is if you have a diesel truck, then you also have to unplug the throttle pedal assembly and remove the wiring harness from the throttle pedal assembly because it is part of the dash harness.
One other thing, if you have an automatic, you will have an indicator assembly coming from your speedometer. It will come down and loop around to the other side. What you want to do is you want to put the truck in first or any gear, anywhere you can unhook the cable from the shifter cable, and you can either take the bracket off of the column or spin the little black wheel. I'll throw a picture up to show you what I'm talking about, and then just get that cable out of the columns before you drop it out. We're going to go ahead and move over into the other side now, because everything is disconnected over here except for this aluminum bracket. Now this aluminum bracket will come out with the dash. And then one other thing I want to make note of here, your firewall plugs, I've already taken them out of the firewall. So you have to unplug those from underneath the hood. There's a 10mm bolt that winds into them. And once you remove your outside plug, there is a prong on the top and bottom. We'll show that to you here. You got a prong on the top and a prong on the bottom. You just squeeze it like this and push it in. There's two. There's a smaller one like this and a much bigger one closer to the outside of the truck. All right, so here we are on the other side. Now we have gone through and disconnected everything here. You can see that the ground is disconnected. All these plugs are disconnected, and the HVAC harness is disconnected. Everything's disconnected from this little bundle of wires here. That's the goal. So make sure that everything is disconnected from this little bundle. Next order of business is we're going to take off the 8mm bolts on the bottom here. There's two, and there's one here on the corner, and then you have your couple along the top. So let's go ahead and we'll get these three removed. And no, the dash will not fall on you by removing these. So as you can see, the dash is kind of loose here. The only thing holding the rest of this dash on over here is the top bolts. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove those as well. These are a 7mm. So you just come up. The dash also will not fall on you when you take these out. All right. So I like to try to pull these screws all the way out. You can see they're a little bit long. All right, sorry about that. Now this dash is going to be very, very loose. All right. Your next step is you need to remove the aluminum bracket bolts over here. There are 4. I will show them to you. Here's where the next holdup comes in. All right. We still got to take this antenna wire off out here. So let's go ahead. We'll get that antenna wire taken off, get that pushed down in. So you want to come over here and you want to pop this off. See, it's only held on with a clip. Then there's 4 Phillips screws in the top here. Go ahead and remove these. With the 4 screws removed, pull this up. You can unplug your antenna wire. Okay, so push your antenna wire down in. And then your next step is going to be when you go to pull this dash off of here, that antenna wire will be a grommet in there. I'll show that to you when we go to pull the dash off. But let's get that aluminum bracket off. All right, so here we are underneath here. Got a bolt here, got one back here, one up there. You got one in this hole here. All right, these are 15 millimeter, and you'll want to take these out. I always take the back ones out first. I'll leave these front ones for last. But you can go ahead, take out the 3, loosen the 1, and it can hold the dash up for you while you do other stuff here. So we'll go ahead and show that to you. All right, before we take this bolt out here, this is the only thing holding this dash in right now. All right, you can see the dash is still secured across here. We're going to go ahead and loosen this. You can see that dash fall. All right, so now we loosen this up. We're going to go on the other side here, and we're going to have 2 other things that we need to get out of here before we pull this whole dash out. Now it's a little hard to see in here, but you see this white thing here? You got to disconnect that from the heater box, and that is, I do believe, a 7 or an 8 millimeter. I will check. I will do that right now and show you what it is. And your grommet for the antenna is right there. So you can pull that out with the dash as well. But before we drop this dash out, we want to get all this disconnected. So we're going to go ahead and work our way down in here. That's a very coarse-headed screw. You can see it here. And then pull your antenna. Just a grommet holds it in and pull it out of the way. Now that dash will sit there just like it is. That's why I said if we leave that one bolt in there, you can come over here as a one person and get that disconnected. And then we're going to go ahead and pull this dash out. So before we pull this out all the way, reach under here like I am. Make sure that your firewall plug is completely out. And there's a dash. We ended up getting caught on this bracket right here with the wiring, but we're going to go ahead and pull this guy out and show it to you. As you can see, the whole dash is out, and you can see the wiring came with it, as well as most of the HVAC stuff. You can see here, all the HVAC stuff is on it, all of your wiring, your antenna wire, your HVAC cable that we undid. Here is your vacuum plug that we undid earlier. And here's your firewall plugs. So these are these little tabs I was talking about. There's one on the top, one on the bottom. Push them in through the steel. And here's your bracket here that holds everything on. Ford was really good for stuff like this. So if you are pulling your dash out, be aware that most of your vents probably aren't sealed up real well. So you can go ahead and fix this before reinstalling your dash. But that is the full removal of a 92 to 97 dash. And as you can see, it all came out as one big unit. HVAC ducting, wiring, and like I said, it's a lot easier to do without a column. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it'll teach you a little something about working on your own truck. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.